it being 5:50, the scheduled start time for our meeting tonight, we will call this meeting to order with a quorum being present. And the purpose of starting early is to provide an opportunity for a hearing on our setting our tax levy. So if you want to talk about anything, taxes, etc.
I love to talk about taxes. Yeah, the purpose of this is for the community to have an opportunity to chime in on our tax rate. And as you can see, unless the administrators want to chime in on our tax rate, there's no one here to do that. But it is a requirement that we do have a tax hearing. So it's my opportunity to provide you a little history lesson on our tax rate and a little comparison of other districts. So if you were here for this last year, it's very similar with some updated numbers and just a few changes. But back in 1982, we had Prop C that established a 1% sales tax for education. 1/2 of proceeds was used to reduce the operating tax rate. So we still have Prop C. We still receive funding from Prop C, not as much as we would like to. And again, the proceeds used to reduce the operating tax rate, and that's something that we've never really been able to get back. In the late 1990s, voter-approved constitutional amendments. This is really important for us. Raised operating tax rate in school districts authorized to levy without voter approval from 125 to 275. So in the 90s, and I'll have to look at what exact year that was, we had a cap of 125, but the voter-approved constitutional amendment changed that to 275, so we can go up to 275 without any kind of voter approval. We do not have we don't have a voter-approved 275 tax levy in Willow Springs. What we have is $1 something, but we're able to move it up to 275 because of the constitutional amendment.
So the state voted, people in the state of Missouri voted.
To change the constitutional amendment to 275 is the minimum that or I guess it's the maximum we can move our tax rate up to without voter approval.
The people in our district.
Right. Allowed school districts to approve operating tax rates by a simple majority, up to $6. Increased bonding capacity from 10 to 15% of assessed valuation. We'll look at assessed valuation in a minute, but it's $97 million. So if you look at that, we have a bonding capacity of around $10 to $15 million that we could go and ask the community that, hey, we want to bond for this amount of money, and that's our bonding capacity. In the 2000s, some new legislation was adopted, requires that school districts publish and conduct tax rate hearings. That's what we're doing tonight. And it requires that a tax rate increase approved by voters be adjusted by reassessment the summer following the tax rate election. So if the voters approve an increase, that increase will be reassessed the following summer. Just important to keep in mind the revenue for our district. That's not exact, but that's approximate numbers. We get roughly 49% from the state funding formula, 45% local, and 6% federal. So the vast majority of our revenue comes from the state and local level. And tonight we're really talking about that local level. The state is the funding formula that we get, and our tax dollars make up that 45% local. So about half of our funding comes from the district taxes.
About 900,000 from the feds.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So property tax revenue, it depends on 3 different things. One is assessed valuation. In the previous years, and this is a little bit different, and we knew this would probably happen at some point. So COVID, of course, happened. The previous years, we had a 10% increase, we had a 7% increase. This year, we actually had a 1% decrease. So we stopped our big increases in assessed valuation, and I'm sure our real estate guys can probably see that as well. So the tax rate looks at that assessed valuation. Our collection rate last year, our assessed valuation was $97,945,504, tax rate 275. So you multiply that assessed valuation by 275, then divide it by 100, and that's what we're getting out of our local tax effort, which is $2,693,501. This year, we have an assessed valuation of $97,294,620, and we'll get about just about the same, but it's about a $20,000 drop, so 1% decrease from previous years. So just as a comparison, 2024 area tax rates, these are all on the state auditor's website, and you can go look them up. And so that's what I did today. So we are at 275. Our assessed valuation is in the parentheses. We're at 97.3 million. West Plains has a tax rate of 375 with 197 million, obviously a larger district. Liberty, and if you see the plus 85 cents, those are bonds that they currently have that will go away. That is not their levy, that's a bond that they currently have in place. So right now they're getting, like Liberty's at 278, but they're getting an extra 85 cents right now. Kabul, the same, they're getting 44 cents. Houston's getting 89 cents. That was for their gym. They tried another one that failed. Mountain Grove is the same as us, 275, but their assessed valuation is 124 million, so getting quite a bit more local money than we are in a similar position. Same way with Ava, their assessed valuation is 131. Thayer, on the other end of the spectrum, they're at 275, but their assessed valuation is just 38 million. State average tax rate is $3.67, so clearly, as the next slide will show, we are in the minority of where most districts are at in the state. There are 525 public schools in Missouri. Only 61 have a 275 levy, and several of those are in the SCA conference. And as we've talked about before, local dollars can be used at district's discretion. So that pie chart, if you think about that, the local tax money we can use however we want to use, as opposed to state formula dollars, that other big chunk of the pie. Those have specific funding guidelines that must be used for certain services or operating expenses. So local tax levies can be used for attracting high-quality teachers with competitive salaries. I know Licking just had a big levy that they were trying to pass that failed, and their whole campaign was built on, we want to pay our teachers more, and that's what you can do when you get a bigger tax levy. You can put that in salary. It's hard to put state funding formula in salary. Capital projects, clearly that's one you could use. Improvements to existing facilities and safety of facilities. Those are all good reasons to ask for a higher tax levy or a bond. Our audit is in progress. Mandy and Jamie have been doing a great job with that, working with our auditor. The annual Secretary of the Board report is being finalized. This will factor a new unrestricted fund balance, so I'll have that for you. Hopefully we'll have that for you by the retreat. So last year is being calculated. I do expect a slight decline in our unrestricted fund balance. The goal is at 20%, and we've been right at that for the last few years. But again, I do expect us to drop just a little bit in our unrestricted fund balance. Comments or questions? Oh, almost 10 minutes, 9 minutes on that. So just about got us to regular meeting time, but. So my proposal would be to set the tax rate at 275.
We'll do that.
We'll do that at the end of
Yeah.
our open session.
All right. Then moving on here, you have the agenda and the consent agenda items in front of you or on your iPad. Are there any questions questions, anything to change? Or
There is one change in personnel. We're adding Joey Barbaro as an elementary para. He's taking Brittany Dickman's position. Brittany moved up to first grade classroom teacher, so Joey,
would you pass the hand?
the new para in the elementary.
I have a question about this program that we're using. Since we're-
Andrew's here, so that's good.
Well, since we're adding this, will Mandy add that,
Yeah.
and then it'll show up, like when we look back at it?
Yes.
So we don't have to make a notation
No.
in the, like, post.
Joey's name should be in there. I added it when I found out today. Yes, he
It
did.
might be, I don't know, I was trying to pull up.
It made, I might not have done it
So
right.
it's in there.
Okay.
Is it? Okay.
Huh?
When you add a notation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick a sticky note on it. I'll believe that. Way nicer.
Very sticky notes on here. Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
Matt and I were kind of doing that when we're taking that.
Earlier today, I don't think I'm qualified to do
Did the Bill Belichick on the side of
Any other questions, comments? Then I would receive a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, then we'll move on to our administrative reports.
I'll go first. I've just got a few things to mention. On the open session agenda, there are a couple of changes I want to make sure you know of. The special education compliance that was originally on there, we're moving that to September. That data has not been released by DESE yet, so that is moving to September. And on closed session, add real estate discussion to that closed session time. I'll remind you that the CSIP goals are on the table. We've got the new board agenda that you're operating tonight, and hopefully that's rolling smoothly for you. Facilities update, just a few things to talk about with that. Of course, school is starting on a week from today, so we've got to get things done. If you'll drive past central office, the trailers are gone, and we're working to create some parking there in pretty short order before opening day, so that'll provide teachers a place to park where those trailers were. We've got our new pickup situation, I think, communicated as best we can for now. I'm sure there's going to be some hiccups those first few days of school. I know our newspaper is going to run a story this week with some graphics on how that's going to work. And of course, we'll have lots of people stationed to help folks with where they need to be picking up and dropping off their kids. Like I said, trailers gone. CTE buildings, we're working hard on the opportunity hall. The ag guys are getting ready to move over there. At least the classroom portion, we're hoping to have that ready by opening day. The shop may still need to be still in the old ag building for a little bit. But that'll be something we continue to work through as the year goes on and moving people where they need to be moving. Roofing is finished. They've got a few little touch-ups, but we're very, very grateful that project is over. And I think most of the projects are going to be done. The building looks great. Again, the maintenance staff, tech, custodial, have all done a fantastic job this summer. It takes a full summer to get everything ready to roll for August.
On the roofing projects, I've seen that some of the payments was made, or at least 2 of them were made in here. Can we
Yeah.
see that compared to what we budgeted and see how that played out
Sure,
for us at
sure.
the next
Yeah.
meeting or some point?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where we were budgeted.
I couldn't remember either.
Yeah,
We had a plan.
it's up from what we budgeted, but I'll get those numbers to you. And then they'll have the B building next year, and then we'll be done with roofing for the foreseeable future. Portrait of graduate draft, you have that on your table. Looks like this. That is something that we're really excited about. It's not a completed document yet, but that is it's getting close. A lot of community members, staff, board members have been involved in coming up with, it's really that begin with the end in mind, and we're trying to figure out when a student graduates from Willow Springs High School, what kind of skills do we want them to have? What kind of graduate do we want them to be? And this is what that group came up with after several meetings and several drafts. So we're going to be working through, you will see this again, and at some point I'd like to ask the board to adopt that as a kind of an official document of the district. But it's something I want to do, at least get in your hands for you to take a look at, and we'll talk about it more at the retreat and then later in the fall. But those are the things, that those 5 pieces, and then some skills underneath that. But resilient achiever, creative and critical thinker, collaborative communicator, engaged and responsible citizen, self-aware and self-directed learner. So those, trying to narrow it down to these are the kind of the core principles of what we want a student to be able to do once they've graduated high school. Trying to make a good citizen, really, not just somebody that knows how to read and write, but can contribute to our town and our country. So take a look at that. We'll revisit that later. MSBA has a Region 15 meeting. I know a few of us went to that last year. That'll be Tuesday, August 27th at Liberty at 6 o'clock. If you're interested in going to that, let me know, and we can discuss meeting times and that kind of stuff. MSBA conference is October 17th through 19th. That's in Kansas City. I think Debbie's had a prior commitment, so she's going to have to back out on that. So we do have a room open if anybody's interested in going to that conference. Let me know.
That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Is that what that is?
Yes. Yeah. So let me know if you're interested and can make that work. That's a good conference that you will get some good information from going. YMCA update. You got a flyer on your table from the Willow Springs YMCA. Kind of gives a floor plan of what that would look like, kind of what they want to do. There's some projected growth on the back. I know the YMCA has got a third-party group that has kind of come into town and talking to different stakeholders in the town, myself included, about how this could work and what they need to do to make this a reality. So she asked that I distribute these to our school board and make you aware of kind of what they're doing. And right now, I think they're really looking hard for donors and trying to make sure that there is financial backing to make this work. So I don't know, Adam, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, basically that's where we're at right now. I've had several meetings over the last year, and I'd say they do have an independent guy doing studies around. So kind of just like us and everybody else is where the grants are.
Right. Where's the money at? Yeah.
Right now, and how can it all play out?
Haven't heard much from them lately, so that's your update. That is still a project that's moving forward, and you'll probably be hearing more about that in the future. And then I wanted to give you just a schedule. It's a very, very busy week on campus leading up to opening day. We have new teacher orientation tomorrow for our new teachers. Wednesday is the all-staff meeting at 8:30. And of course, you guys are welcome to come by to any of these events. Thursday is our open house that evening. And then Friday, we have an SCA Professional Development Day in Mountain Grove. All of the SCA teachers are going to gather in Mountain Grove. We've got a speaker coming in, and it's just a good time to collaborate with the entire conference. So we don't do that every year, but when we do, we always hear really positive things about it. So it's kind of a rah-rah time and a chance to get everybody fired up for the new year. And then also, don't forget, we've got Board Retreat coming up on Saturday, August 24th at 9 a.m. And I'll give you more details on that later.
The open house, are they doing the same with the organization setting up outside like they did last year?
Mr. Schmidt, do you know?
You guys know?
I do not.
I know they're going to have the mobile immunization clinic there for any kids that haven't already gotten that. I'm not sure on like food trucks and that, but I think we're going to have a few things out.
That last year it was a senior project.
It was.
so
Right.
I
Yeah.
So I don't know that it is again this year. But open house is always a good opportunity to come by and meet your teachers and put a face with a name. Okay, any other comments on anything that I shared there? Okay.
All right, who wants to go first?
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, so I guess that means me.
The setup.
How's everyone?
Good.
I think it's been a couple of board meetings since we've been here.
You miss us?
Missed you. Yeah, well, hey, Dr. Spence stole all my thunder here.
I'm sorry.
With the shout outs and stuff like that. But the building, the elementary building, I've been in the other buildings, but I'm sure they'll tell you about, looks fantastic. So a shout out to our custodians, our maintenance, our tech guys for all they do. Can't really see that it looks fantastic, but I know you're doing a lot of work. You know what I mean? But really, the halls are shiny, they look good, they're gonna look great for open house. The railings have been painted inside and outside. We have a new playground surface, that rubbery surface had a lot of holes that needed patched, that got patched. We're excited about a brand new preschool surface, so we're not gonna be tracking Pete Raffle all over the preschool building.
The cats have lost their place. So.
Cats have lost, so that was really a needed project, so we're excited about that and got that done. Our blacktop out there, not that the blacktop was refinished, but it's been repainted for the kids to play. It's a big deal to the kids and the teachers, so we're excited about that. Dr. Spence also mentioned our drop off and pick up and drop off, and that's going to be a little bit of an issue at first, but I think it's going to be a really good thing down the stretch. They've done a great job painting that up. Kudos to Jeff and Glenn for getting that ready to go. So we're excited about that. So it creates a much more safe environment for our kids getting picked up and dropped off. Drop off won't be that big of an issue. The pickup's going to be the more of the challenge. In a few days we'll get rolling. It'll be great. So like Dr. Spence said, we're gonna have a lot of people in place. It's a good thing. So we're excited about that. New paint in a few places. Again, paint dresses up, makes it look good. So we're excited about that. We have some upcoming events, kindergarten open house. I'm not sure that was on there. It's Tuesday night. We do that separate because those kids require a little more attention. You know, they're scared, they're nervous, but a big part is the buses. Getting those kids on the right buses at first day of school. So we want to. That's why we have an extra night of kindergarten open house there, and it's very effective. It's a good thing. And then of course regular open house Thursday night. We usually bring in a good crowd with that, and we got some things in place for that open house. Dr. Johnson talked a little bit about this, so I'm not going to say much about it. We're excited about our administration interns this school year, so I'll leave it at that, and he can share things about that. Goals this year, I jotted down a few things I'm going to work on personally. First and foremost, increase student achievement. I mean, that's the bottom line for all of us, but there's different ways about doing that, and I think one of the first and foremost is you work on building climate and culture. Get teachers that you equip them with what they need. You serve them, get them ready to go. You know, they're glad to be there. They're focused, want to do a good job, bringing in those kids and loving on those kids. I mean, our school's a great place, and it's the safest place for a lot of our students. So we're excited about that. I say this every year because I think it's a need. I want to focus on our reading levels. I've got 2 supplemental resources. We're going to increase the implementation of that in the classrooms. Teachers are on board. It's a good thing, so we're excited about that. Personally, I want to spend more time in the classrooms, helping those teachers. I work at that. I make my rounds every day, and I'm out and about in the halls and in the classrooms. But again, I want to try to increase and do even a little more with that. And I want to be intentional with things I do. We get caught up daily, come in with the greatest plan every morning, and sometimes you don't know what the day brings. So I want to focus on being intentional every day, having a plan in place, being in those classrooms, helping those teachers, and doing what's best for kids. So I think we're ready to go. Had a great building retreat, getting the staff motivated and well fed and pumped and ready for the school year. Any questions for me? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
I kind of considered just staying sitting down since Mr. Conley wasn't here. But I guess I'll stand up. Hopefully you guys all had a good summer. I know I did. And it's always refreshing to get a little time off, spend with family. So, but it's good to be back. It's good to see the teachers and hear about what everybody's done over the summer. I'm excited about the school year and the opportunities that we're going to have this school year. A few things that I want to mention. Obviously, we did have our admin retreat. The admin interns were included in that, which was really, really good. The retreat was great. But to talk a little bit more about the admin interns, we have James Lee that's going to be interning at the middle school. And then we have Ashley Johnson that's going to be at the elementary to start with. And they will both kind of maybe flip-flop a little bit. But basically, and Mr. Schmidt may have more information on this, we've got Gary Spencer that's going to be at the high school as well as an admin intern. And they will be spending at least prep time and maybe some more time just in the office with us, observing us on the day-to-day. Hopefully we can, get them involved in some of the processes, understanding, what goes on. There's a lot that goes on that people don't see, especially when the doors close. So getting them that experience, I know it would have been nice for me whenever I went to apply for my first admin job if I would have had that experience, and they're going to be able to say that they've worked with somebody. It may not be the best somebody. They're in the middle
But it's
school.
somebody.
But it's somebody. Okay. So it was a neat deal. Mr. Schmidt came up with the idea, and we were all for it. We want to help our teachers and our staff, and so it's just a really neat opportunity for them. And again, I wish it would have been there whenever I was in that position. That would have been something neat, I think. So we're looking forward to having them in our buildings. As far as our teacher retreat, we had a great time. It's always a good time to see those teachers outside of the building. I mean, they were like a bunch of little kids, really, honestly. And it was awesome. It was a really good day spent with staff, and it went really, really good. As far as our building updates, we have the new entryway. We're going to have some signage out there for the front of the middle school. So the actual front of the middle school is now where parents will come in. That entryway is all but done. So we now have a double door entryway there if you haven't been in that way. And that's where all parents will come in. We're going to try to have that opened up and bring everybody in that night of the open house. So everybody can kind of see that, get used to it. Like I said, we're going to have a big sign out front that says Willow Springs Middle School Parent Entrance, and we'll have one over on the north end that kind of faces the Hicks House there that says Student Entrance. So just kind of getting people used to that entryway. That's where they will come to pick up their kid or drop their kid off during the school day. Everything else, pick up and drop off before and after school, will be over by the old gym, as Mr. Rogers said. So you'll be hearing more about that. But I know that down the road, that's going to be a really good thing. And we will also have our 5th grade orientation that night at 5:30, the night of open house. So we'll have a special little meeting for our 5th graders. I know, that with that transition, they're always nervous coming in. So hopefully we can ease some of those nerves, ease the parents' nerves a little bit, make sure that they know what's going on with their building and what our expectations are, and just welcome them to our building. So as far as goals, Mr. Cochran and I kind of sat down and talked about some goals for our building. Communication continues to come up. I don't know if you can ever communicate too much, especially with the teachers themselves, as far as what's going on during our school day, and just making sure that we're all always on the same page. Being in the classrooms more, I think that we're in the classrooms a lot, but again, I want to strive to be in there more, a lot like Mr. Rogers said. And building honest and caring relationships with teachers, students, and parents. That's got to be at the top of the list. So beyond that, specifically in the building, we've got to be willing to continue to fail if we're going to succeed. And over the past year, we've witnessed all of our grade level teams being willing to try new things with the RTI process. And through those failures, each grade level has kind of come up with their own way that they're going to implement the RTI process. And, they own that now. They built it, they own it. So we want to continue to have that mindset of being willing to try new things, and it's okay to fail. Reading is a priority, fluency with repetition, and all of that leading into our standards-based stuff that's going to be coming in the 25-26 school year. And then the last thing, kind of something that I picked up from the conference in Branson that we went to there in early August, is just have the mindset of not doing things until we get them right, but continuing to drill until we can't get them wrong. And the specific session that I was sitting in there was a lady that was talking about RTI and reading and fluency and all that kind of stuff. But I just think overall that's a pretty good mindset to have with kids, is we want to do it until they can't get it wrong. We want to make sure that they got it, and especially the big picture items, the big things. So anyways, I think that's it. The building itself, I did skip this. The building itself does look really nice. We upgraded some lighting in there. It was just a little dark in some of those hallways. All we did was go in and add, we didn't add any new fixtures, but those fixtures just had like one ballast in them. And so we've got fixtures that now have 2 ballasts in them. They're all LED, just like kind of like they were before, but they're a little bit brighter. It really brightened things up. We did a lot of painting. All of that came from a culture walk that some of our teachers did. Culture and Climate Committee, I think. And so, yeah, the building looks really, really nice. I mean, as nice as it's looked since I've been here. So really proud of that, all the hard work that goes into that, support staff, they've all been mentioned, but really appreciate those guys. So
I'm talking about the building of the middle school. It's the 100th anniversary of that building this year. So you'll be seeing some things on the 100th birthday of the middle school building. And it really does. I mean, it looks great for a 100-year-old building.
100-year-old building, yeah, it's really nice.
One thing I was talking about the entry and all that kind of new stuff that's coming. I know there's the gate over there now, kind of in front of the Hicks house. What's the hours I know we talked about it, but just refresh my memory of when that's open and closed.
So, go ahead.
The sign says 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Is when it's closed.
That's when that street will close from the Hicks house to the bottom of the
Basically the gym.
The gym.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just that section that will be closed.
7 to 3:30.
Yeah, when kids are there, basically.
Sure. Okay.
Anybody? All right.
Your administrative interns, is that in conjunction with any classes they're taking, or?
No,
Okay.
They apply.
they applied.
They're just
It was. We put it out there for people who would like to go into administration,
Right.
or people who are like, I'm not sure. I would like to learn more, and then I can decide. So it's just kind of a
Before they've
trial run.
invested
Yeah.
a couple of years.
Right.
in money and,
And I think they all have advanced degrees.
yeah, that's good.
Was there quite a bit of interest, generally speaking, to be involved in some of that?
Yeah, we had, I don't know, 5 or 6 that applied for it. And we could have made a case probably for all of them, but we didn't want to put a big group. We wanted to kind of be selective, and then if it works well, we can open that up again next year for different people. And hopefully it's an opportunity for them to learn and be able to see what it's like on the other side of things. Because from my perspective as a teacher, going to an administrator, it's a lot different.
I'm sure.
Yeah. It's one of those win-win programs, really, for everybody.
All right, thank you.
had people at conferences during the summer, learn some things, and what I was glad to see is we had not only people attending, but people presenting. Quincy Hatch presented at the Making Schools Work Conference in Nashville. Marlena, my wife, and Shaylee Welch all presented at the Go CSD Innovation Summit in Branson. We have lots of good things going on in our district, so it's good that our people get out and share what they're doing. We've got lots of things going on, but one thing that the Portrait of a Graduate, those meetings, I found one thing I tell our teachers every year: don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try things that are new. Be innovative. Take chances. But we need to do that with our kids too. And it may have been Mac that said, school needs to be a safe place to fail. So the kids need to know that it's okay. If you do, we're here to help you and help you move forward. And so that's one of the things that struck me. I think that's going to be a good document for us to help us get kids where we want them to be so they can be good members of society and give back to the community. Let's see. We had our retreat. It was a good time getting everybody back together, getting everybody on the same page. Goals, as John mentioned, we're looking at a standards-based approach next year, what we want to call evidence-based learning and assessment. And so our PD focus all year will be on those types of activities, getting our teachers familiar with it, acquainted with it, and getting the public acquainted with what that means. So we hope to do all that throughout the coming year, and learning more and being more confident in what we're doing and be prepared for that for next year. In doing so, that has caused us to make some changes. We've changed our schedule up a little bit. We've had bear time, which is about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, which is not really enough time to get into much, where we've kind of used that to help people that need it and enrichment, and we've tried different things with it, and it's not worked as well as we would like. Works for a little bit and then doesn't work as well. So what we've done is we've got rid of bear time, put in a 45-minute advisory period, which gets to be tricky because part of our kids leave to go to VOTEC in the afternoon, so that period of extra help for those kids has to be early in the morning. But putting that in, you also have to work around lunch because we don't have our own kitchen. We have to work with the elementary to fit that in. And so the logistics of getting lunch and getting help for the kids kind of makes that schedule a little bit different than normal. Some of our lunches will be a little bit early. And in response to that, we're going to put a little bit longer break in the afternoon where kids, if they need a snack, we can have the school store open. If we have some things that we can give them sometimes, we'll give some snacks out. So our schedule's a little bit different, and it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I think in the end it's what's going to be good for kids, because it's going to give teachers time where they can get kids in that need that help and help them more than they could in a 20-minute bear time. So I'm sure you'll hear some things about that, but that's why we're doing that, because the goal is to help kids get them where they need to be. Let's see. The administrative interns, I think that's going to be a great opportunity for us and for the interns as well. I thought I had something else, but I don't remember one. Any questions?
On that, sorry, on that snack time later in the day, how does that work for kids that get free and reduced lunches or however? Is there some for them? Or?
At this point, we don't have all details, but if we have some things, if people donate some things, or we can come up with some things, we'll try to make those available as we can.
I'll get with you and see about that with Convoy. There's always
Yeah.
food there we can
Like,
draw from.
we look to try to find some grants, like elementary's got their fruit and stuff grant, but they don't want to do those things for older students,
Yeah.
just for the little ones, so.
Yeah.
We've had, Regina's been looking into different options there, so we're,
Erin Brower usually comes up and we do the Convoy and gets snacks, but if she's aware you need that time, I'm sure we could
I just
talk with,
kind of was seeing that, you know, I know
get some more snacks.
fair time, whatever that, it does cost a little bit of money and all that.
yeah, school stores.
So we kind of need to
Yeah.
keep that in mind for some of those
Yep.
kids.
We're open and looking for things that we can do there, so. Anything else?
Nope.
I would invite any of you that can on September 20th, our first PD day.
Yes.
If you want to come spend the day with us on September 20th, Mark Clements from the University of Missouri Heart of America RPDC will, or Heart of Missouri RPDC will be down, and that'll be a standards-based PD session all day. So,
And you don't have to come all day.
No.
You can come for part of it, but
But you
it's a
can.
good opportunity. If you remember back to the last retreat when I tried to explain evidence-based learning, I'm sure this guy can explain it much better than I can. We got off on all kinds of tangents on that, but that would be a good opportunity for you to kind of get a snapshot of what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
We might just have him come to.
He can just come to the board meeting. What day of the week is that?
Friday.
Oh, okay.
It's a little late in the month.
I hope you all had a great summer. I had a fantastic summer. It's usually never long enough. And sometimes in my summer I spend working as much as I'm off as well. But it is also a good time to take advantage of some professional development that's only offered in the summertime. And I did attend 2 really good PD workshops this summer. One of them was the Transition Training Institute, which is a DESE-sponsored conference. And the purpose of that, students with IEPs have, those that are 16 and above have what's called a post-secondary transition plan, which they set goals for employment or education or independent living in their IEP, and we do what we can throughout their 16 years and up to make sure that they're able to achieve what goals they have set for themselves post-secondarily. There has been some talk of the state would like to see that age change to 14 and up, which is like almost entering high school age as a 16-year-old, you're in sophomore and junior year sometimes. So the plan is to change that to 14 and up. And I know we do a lot of activities, and this is one of the things, part of the advisory panel for special ed that I'm on with the state, that we did discuss. And I know that our school in particular, and I could probably speak for others as well, that we do a lot of activities for all students that help them prepare post-secondarily. Our students are required to have the individual course plans, and I know we have put in the CTE classes and have all sorts of career paths for students, whether it's college bound or technical bound, that we do a really good job with that. But with this change coming about, it will be 14 years and up that students will be required to have a post-secondary transition plan in their IEP, and just better focuses on what we can do to help them be productive citizens when they graduate. And I know that's a goal. One of the things that I can't impress enough is I think that our goal from students enroll from preschool, kindergarten, all the way through 12th grade is do the best we can. We may not think about it as a kindergarten student, but getting kids ready to be an adult. And when they enter school, that's the goal from the time they enter to the time they graduate, is that we're shaping kids to be whatever they're going to be when they grow up. So I don't think we can ever do enough on helping kids achieve that. So some really good PD there. I also attended the Go CSD conference with a lot of our staff members and administrators. It's a great conference that I'm proud that our school is a part of that. One of my big takeaways from that conference, well, 2 of the things, I did step out of my comfort zone and presented this year. registration wise, when I looked at how many people were supposed to have attended my session, it said 12, and I felt okay with that. I was like, oh, this will be a small group with me not being so nervous, but there were a little over 50 that came in, and it all went lovely and great, and I talked about understanding assessment scores for general ed teachers and what some of those numbers mean and what that data means for general ed teachers or administrators. People that may just not understand exactly what that means. And it seemed, I went a few minutes over. It was a 45-minute block of time. I went 45 minutes over. I didn't get booed off the stage, and people stayed late to ask questions. So I felt like it was a success on my end of things. The keynote at Go CSD, she touched the first one. She really touched me, touched my heart. She was talking about hope. And I know I've shared with this with our administration team that we are the hope for our students, and in order for us to be the hope for our students, we have to have hope for ourselves. And I think that's a well-rounded thing that we sometimes forget, that in order for teachers to be the hope for students, that they have to have hope themselves. And so that's, we have to make sure that we are taking care of our staff in a way that they have hope every day that they can come in so they can give hope to others. And that was really touching to me, to know that it's not, and people that have no hope, I know they have lower life expectancies, and there was a wealth of data that this presenter gave us, and just to think that people that don't have plans beyond tomorrow, their future and their life is not as good as someone who has hope, and that we're the people that can do that for kids. So that was really powerful to me. So. Couple of goals for special ed for this year, twofold. One, that I have impressed with my staff, and I know it's something that we have worked towards. This is year 5 for me, and I just want to, focus on team, and that, special ed is a team, and sometimes we're out on an island as separate from everyone else, and I would like to bridge that gap and us be a team with everyone. And that, grade level teams, that we need to be present, we need to be accountable, we need to be, we need to be helpful in any way possible. That our SPED team is not only a team where we take care of students, low achieving students or students with needs, but we need to do a better job with teamwork and making sure that we're where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there, and that we're helping every kid that we can help in any way that we can. So that's probably one of my biggest goals for the year, is to make sure that sometimes, and we may have to push our way in to begin with, but we're hoping that we can bridge some of that frustration and be better team players and work better with our general ed teachers. And also the accountability piece and collaboration for special ed is making sure that special ed teachers are accountable and they are communicating well with what's going on in the classroom. I think that frustrations will be lessened if both of those pieces are together. So. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you. Mr. Wagner.
I was kind of nervous. I didn't know if you had a copy of the professional development plan, and I kind of looked over Debbie's shoulder a while ago and saw that she did, and so I'm grateful for that. Jeff, you want to take those pass around? There are a few updates I wanted to bring attention to. So you have a hard copy of 2 pages coming around, and just 1 page front and back. This is page 6 and page 7 in the PD plan. And I want to focus on those in general, specifically. But in general, our professional development plan is our professional development goals for the year, and how they are tied to our CSIP goals as well. We have to have that updated, or we renew that yearly, or have it approved yearly. And so anyway, I wanted to give you an update on who who our professional development committee is this year. We have 3 people from each building, and that's on page 7 of the plan. The updated chart is in the handout that I gave you, and you can see the 9 people who are represented. The chart above it, we will fill that in with who's the president of our professional development committee and other officers as we after we have our meeting in September. Have our professional development meeting in September. Just to give you, looking at the calendar itself, many of these have already been mentioned, but I wanted to give a shout out to Jeff Cunningham and Glenn Moore for putting on a great safety training last week and practicing our reunification drills and what that would look like had we had an emergency and we had to evacuate. And it was a very from my perspective, it was just a big eye opener on what we need to do, how big of a process it would be, and it was a pretty intense drill the way from my perspective and what my role would be, and I was glad we got to practice that. Each of the principals talked about the retreats on August 9th. Today we had professional development with Connie Hamilton, and she talked to us about questioning in the classroom. How do we go about not only asking questions to our students, but asking them in a way that every student is engaged in answering them, and that's pretty much the short description of what she did, and it was very beneficial. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about things that I had done in class that she years ago that she presented on today, and I was thinking about how, if I was still in the classroom, how could I make that strategy better? And that was one of the things. Some of these things may have been familiar to our teachers already, but she did a very good job of helping us to maybe realize how we can do those things better. Because that's the thing. In general, we could do things in the classroom, but we all many of the things in the classroom we do great, but we are always striving to be better. Then Dr. Spence mentioned new teacher orientation tomorrow. You're more than welcome to be a part of that. We're going to do just general intros right at 8 o'clock tomorrow. So if you have an opportunity to be there, if you want to come in anytime between 8 and 1 and introduce yourselves to our new staff, that would be great. I would welcome it. We're also mentioned on Friday, we're going to have our SEA speaker as well. I have the date for our September PD Day wrong. It is September 20th, not September 12th. And Mark Clements, you see his name mentioned several times throughout the course of the school year. Either he or somebody from his staff is going to come and work with our staff on evidence-based instruction, as he mentioned, as Mr. Schmidt mentioned a while ago. And on February 14th, you see that we just have evidence-based instruction. Nobody from his staff is going to be there, but we are going to have several work sessions within those professional development days. So it's not a lot of sit and get. It's going to be anything from updating our written curriculum and then attaching competencies to those that will lead to our evidence-based standards that we're going to be showing eventually on grade cards and other forms of communication with parents. So. For the most part, I just want to say that I'm very happy with the fact that I feel that we have a very structured professional development plan for as far as our local PD for this year. We have, as the administrators mentioned a while ago, we had several that have went to summer conferences. We have conferences throughout the school year that are either state or regional conferences that many of our teachers will attend, or administrators as well. And so I'm very excited for what very excited about our goals this year, and I'm hoping that our staff embraces those as well. So. Y'all have any questions for me? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
Appreciate everything Mr. Wagner does for our professional development.
And we're required to spend a certain amount a year on professional development?
Yeah, 1% of the state funding formula. So not of our budget, but of the,
It's not our budget, it's
right,
the state.
it's the state, what the money sends us, which was about 5.8 million. So it's like 58,000 that we required to spend on professional development.
And are we kind of in that ballpark?
We're in the ballpark. Yeah, we were a little over last year, but that's kind of the range we shoot for.
So is that what you budget then?
Yes.
For the upcoming years,
Yeah.
what that formula
Yes.
is out?
Yeah, and we can go over, but we have to spend at least 1%. Right.
And there are other sources of funding that we have that can be used for professional development. It doesn't have to all be from that, from the 1%
Yeah.
that Dr. Spence was talking about.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
We have one policy to approve tonight. This is policy BBFA. This is one that we do every year. This is the conflict of interest policy. Ordinance of Willow Springs School to establish a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain individuals. These are common for filing for public office and elected officials. The Missouri Department of Ethics puts this out and makes sure that everything's on the up and up. So we adopt this policy, and that's, when you'll abstain from a vote or you'll not be employed by the school district, those conflict of interest items that come up. And this policy assures that we will stay within our ethical boundaries.
All right,
Pretty straightforward. That's all I got.
we're done. We'll do the compliance plan next month. And we'll move on to items for action. So a motion would be in order to set the tax levy at $2.75.
So,
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And a motion would be in order to approve the professional development plan as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made and seconded. And 30 day discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the motion would be in order to approve the policy we just heard about, BBFA, concerning conflict of interest.
so moved.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Now I would receive a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Roll call vote. Debbie?
Aye.
Aye.